Well, at some point, you only are free when you realize you belong no place. You belong every place, no place at all. The price is high, the reward is great.
Have you ever felt like you didn't belong? Like you were one of the strange ones who just didn't fit in, no matter how hard you tried? As social beings, we naturally seek people and places where we feel a sense of belonging. Belonging is essential to our well-being, identity, and emotional resilience. Without it, we can feel lost, isolated, or disconnected from our true selves. But in a world where we constantly seek connection and acceptance, it's easy to get lost in the pursuit of fitting in. Non-belonging. A feeling that has been with me from a young age. I always felt like I was odd and different, and therefore yearned for validation from others, just so I could feel like I belonged somewhere and perhaps be normal. The more I talk to others, the more I realize that I'm not the only one that has experienced this feeling of non-belonging. Everyone I talk to feels this or has felt this in stages of their lives. It seems like the feeling of non-belonging is a universal human experience. We've all tried to mold ourselves to fit in and meet the expectations of society, friends, or family. With social media being such a big part of our lives, it's easy to compare ourselves and be influenced by others' way of thinking and being. It has also become easier than ever to seek external validation. We're just clicks away from receiving likes and comments, regardless if we're being honest or authentic. But in our search of external validation, we often overlook the most vital belonging of all, the one we have with ourselves. There's a quote by Brené Brown that says, "True belonging is the spiritual practice of believing in and belonging to yourself so deeply that you can share your most authentic self with the world and find sacredness in both being a part of something and standing alone in the wilderness." True belonging doesn't require you to change who you are. It requires you to be who you are. True belonging begins with belonging to yourself. It starts with embracing who you are at your core, deeply understanding and accepting yourself, your values, beliefs, and experiences, even when they differ from those around you. External connections are important, don't get me wrong, but they cannot define your worth. True belonging always starts from within. I was born on a small Caribbean island called Curacao. It's surrounded by clear blue waters and beautiful greens. My story actually starts with my parents. Both grew up not feeling like they belong. They fell in love by their mutual wish to be more free and got inspired by Bob Marley, Rastafari, and spirituality. Their dream was to live away from conventional society and its rules. They realized their dream by buying acres of land, building their own home, growing their own food, and living a conscious and balanced life deeply connected to nature. Raising 6 beautiful wild kids, including me, the youngest. We were raised to be authentic, courageous, and free. Our days were filled with connecting with the natural world around us. Unfortunately, their dream slowly turned into a nightmare. My parents divorced, and my mother faced the difficult decision of leaving everything behind to find safer ground. We moved to a city in the Netherlands, which was the complete opposite of our previous life. It didn't take long to realize how different we were compared to other kids and families. That's where the feeling of non-belonging started for me. That was also the start of me trying my hardest to fit in, even if it meant changing and hiding parts of myself so I could be accepted and thus belong. I eventually got used to living in the Netherlands, but the feeling of non-belonging never left, and I continued to perform to fit in. Over the years, this took a big toll on my mental health. Behind my big smile, I struggled with depression, suicidal thoughts, and a deep shame for who I truly was. When I was 20, I was working as a makeup artist, which I thought I loved, but at the same time, I was exhausted by life. I got tired of the same repetitive days and the long, crowded commute to work. I started to wonder if this was really it. Was I going to spend the rest of my life trying to blend in, while feeling like a stranger to myself? I was fed up. I quit my job, booked a one-way ticket and packed my backpack, and decided it was time for me to chase my dream of traveling the world, in hope to find my authentic self. During my travels, I reconnected with my wild side and my deep love for nature. I let go of my old identity and embraced a new version of myself, one that felt more authentic to who I truly was. I felt a deep sense of belonging while surrounded by gorgeous nature. New Zealand was one of those places that truly felt like home, and loved my outdoorsy life there. I decided I wasn't going to leave. But then COVID hit.
Good evening. The coronavirus crisis is deepening.
The world came to a standstill, and my life unraveled in ways I hadn't expected. I lost my job, which also meant I lost the visa to stay in New Zealand. The lockdown became a forced pause, a time to reflect and turn inward. Around the same time, my long-term relationship ended. I began to realize I wasn't as confident being alone as I had believed. Once lockdown ended, I decided to spend my final 6 months in New Zealand on a solo road trip, traveling across the country in my converted SUV. I had a great time going on many adventures and exploring the breathtaking landscapes, but it was also one of the hardest periods of my life. With so much time to reflect, a lot of repressed feelings began to surface. I did my best to push them aside, distracting myself with as many adventures as I could fit into my days. Constantly chasing a high so I didn't feel as low. Being alone during the pandemic, healing from heartbreak, and being so far from my support system back home was challenging and felt extremely lonely. When my visa expired, I had no choice but to return to the Netherlands after 3 years abroad. Shortly after arriving, the Netherlands went into another lockdown and my mental health drastically decreased. For the first time, I truly realized how emotionally burned out I was. I became aware of my pattern of chasing highs with travel and adventures to escape my feelings. But I realized my underlying problems would follow me until I resolved them. It was time to truly accept myself for who I am and to start the journey towards true self-belonging. I began to take better care of my inner world, slowly reconnecting with my spirituality. I started each day with meditation, journaling my thoughts and feelings, and moving my body with intention. Step by step, I began to release the heavy weight I had been carrying for so long. After a few months at home, I felt the pull to reconnect with nature and spread my wings again. I bought a small panel van and transformed it into a cozy tiny home on wheels. I named her Alma, Spanish for soul, spirit and heart, because that was exactly the journey I was embarking on, one of deep self-discovery and connection. This time, I approached travel differently. Instead of chasing the highs, I slowed down and embraced the simple beauty of the moment. I spent my days swimming in the crystal clear mountain lakes of Switzerland, soaking up the warmth of the sun and adventuring in the mountains. For the first time in a long while, my nervous system had the chance to fully relax. I felt my soul recharge as I embraced the peace and stillness I had been missing for so long. Slowing down allowed me to get to know myself on a deeper level. I began to truly enjoy my own company and slowly became my own best friend. I found compassion for all my imperfections and gave myself permission to show up as I truly am. I realized that home actually isn't a place, it's a person. And that person is you. Your body is your first and most enduring home, a sacred vessel that carries you through life. The journey of belonging begins with knowing yourself deeply. To know thyself. To know thyself is to embark on a path of self-awareness, understanding your emotions, listening to your physical needs, and nurturing your inner spirit. When you cultivate a sense of self-belonging, you create a sanctuary within, a place of acceptance and love. From this place of inner wholeness, you feel empowered to navigate the world with grace and authenticity. When you no longer seek fulfillment externally or depend on outside approval, something remarkable happens. You open yourself up to love, not the kind that comes from fear of rejection or judgment, but the kind that flows freely when you are unapologetically yourself. The journey of belonging to oneself isn't easy. It demands self-reflection, honesty, and courage. At times, this path can feel lonely. Not everyone in your life will accept the real you or align with the person you're becoming. But the beauty of authenticity is that it naturally draws the right people to you, those who will love and support you for who you truly are. Self-belonging is an ongoing journey. As we grow and evolve, we must rediscover and nurture each new version of ourselves. But through this process, we cultivate a profound sense of inner peace and confidence that no external belonging can ever provide. I believe this journey is the foundation of true happiness, fulfillment, and peace. When you can stand firmly in who you are, free from the need to prove your worth, the world opens up in new and beautiful ways. You will belong everywhere, because you belong to yourself.